what I'm doing is a tutorial of how to stream, or yeah, get OBS set up so you can stream to Twitch. I've had quite a few requests for this, so like I said, the floor is open for any questions as I go through this. I'm here giving the answers that I can, but we'll go ahead and start from scratch here. So first thing you're going to do is have a copy of iRacing running in the background. That'll help you get started right away there. Then you're going to want to go to obsproject.com and click the download link. Make sure you go under Studio and click OBS plus browser source. I'm going to download that guy. Go ahead and run through the I don't know, I give me an error, but I'm just gonna fucking ignore it. We'll go through the whole installation process here. And you'll click run. Click the, agree to your settings there or whatever. Now see, this is where we started last time. Your screen might look a little bit different because I have a triple screen setup. So I got this little thin bar here. So if you don't have triple screens, you can ignore this next step, but you'll click on settings down here, go to video. You want to make sure your base resolution is set to 1920 by 1080. Like I said, if you have a single screen setup, this is automatically going to be set there. And I usually scale down to 1280 by 720. Those are the basic and most widely used settings for Twitch. So once you go ahead and click apply over there, now you have like a more, square single screen looking thing going on. Now we'll go, this is your basic layout that you've got here. I usually go ahead and rename my scene to iRacing. So you know which scene you're in. You can make multiple scenes. Like for those of you that watch my stream, I have a loading screen, a staging screen, an introduction video, and my bets and all that shit. All that's going to be on there. So, but for those of you just getting started out on Twitch, I would recommend just trying to get this working and then work on the production value later. Because it took me, y'all know I make all kinds of mistakes on my end as far as production value goes. Because it's me trying to operate two computers and race at the same time. A little bit of pain in the ass. So anyways, we'll go down here to sources and we'll click add game capture, and you're going to want to add a new one. We'll name this iRacing capture. I can type, and we'll go over here where it says capture any full screen application. You can leave that checked. I wouldn't recommend it. I always do specifically for iRacing because it's the only game that I do stream. If you stream multiple games, you technically use that to capture any game that you're running. But they're all going to be run at the same resolution. So I just personally make it solely for iRacing. So you click down here in the window here and click iRacing.com simulator, iRacing Sim 64 DX11. Click that. As you can see in the background, iRacing came up, but it's trying to capture all three screens here. Now, if your game is minimized, iRacing won't come up until you maximize the window, activate it again, and then minimize it. So you might get a black screen for now, but they will be capturing iRacing in the background once you have it up and you're running iRacing. Now, a big important thing here, you don't have to have the capture cursor if you don't want to. But the biggest important thing, since iRacing uses anti-cheat software, make sure you have the anti-cheat compatibility hook checked. It's going to be a very important thing here for iRacing. You click OK. Now, as you can see, OBS for me, since I have three monitors, is trying to capture all three screens right now. So if you don't have triple monitors, you can ignore this step too. So for those of you that do have triple monitors, you're going to want to go to right-click your iRacing capture here, go to filters. And then we're going to crop the left and right screen off. So you go down here to filters, click add, crop. You can just leave it named crop if you want to. And we're going to cut off the left screen and the right screen, which is 1920 pixels wide, 1920 pixels wide on the left and the right. So we'll crop this off, and we'll go down to right, and we'll crop that off. and boom, now we got the center screen there. Good to go. And that's pretty much I add the capture for iRacing. Everything else will run in the background. Make sure you have the right microphone set up. It generally goes to your default one, but you can choose any microphone. If you have another microphone selected on your computer, just select that one. Same thing with your desktop audio. If you're running any kind of virtual cable and you want to run through that, I run virtual cable, so sometimes I can get my TeamSpeak muted in the background. So you can do that, but for the most part, your default device will be the one that it uses. Actually, yeah, so there we go. What's going on there, Bighorn? All right, so that's pretty much that in a nutshell. And you're going to want to set up your streaming settings here. So for stream, you'll go to Twitch. You'll select the server close to you. The one closest to me is the one in Virginia here. And you'll go into your Twitch page. Go to your dashboard. And you'll click over here where it says stream key. You'll click show key. I'm not going to show mine to y'all. I don't want y'all hacking my shit. So you'll click show key and it'll give you a long, 30 some odd character key. You'll copy that and you'll paste it here into the stream key section. And then you want to go over to output. You can leave it as simple if you're just going to be streaming straight to actually, I wouldn't even leave it as simple. I always go to advanced. You can leave the audio track at 1, encoder. I recommend using X264. That's going to give you the best quality. It is going to impact your CPU performance, so you are going to have a pretty decent CPU for this. But leave it at X264. You don't want to click rescale output or anything like that. Twitch requires constant bit rate, so this rate control needs to be CBR. What that means is it's going to send the exact same amount of data all the time. So for some of the games that, like iRacing, where like when you're spinning out and there's a lot of images on the screen at once, it can get a little bit pixelated, and you'll notice that with a lot of guys who have lower quality on their Twitch channels, that you will get a little bit of pixelation, especially if there's a lot of images on the screen at one time. But general rule of thumb for Twitch, doesn't matter what game it is, if you are not partnered, you're going to be limited to around 2,500 to 3,000 anyways. Since Twitch does not scale down. Bang boy, thanks for the follow, homie. I'm drinking a beer here in the background. Since in the background, I forgot what I was gonna say now. Anyways, Twitch does not scale down your video. So when you go to YouTube and you can choose whether it's 144p or 480p, 360p, I believe it is, 720, 1080. Twitch, what you send them is what they show your viewers. So that's why you got to play this little balancing act. And if you're not partnered, you have to do this balancing act. So I usually set mine to around 2,500 to 3,000. I found 2,500, the quality isn't nearly as good as 3,000 sometimes, but 3,000 sometimes people will have buffering issues because their internet is not that fast. That's awesome, Brian. How you doing, man? So yeah, I usually set mine at 3,000. You can leave yours at 2,500 depending on your internet speed and whatnot. Keyframe interval for Twitch, they want you to have 2, so you always set that to 2. And the CPU usage preset, you can toy around with this, but another good rule of thumb is leave that at very fast. You can see there's a bunch of different settings here. The higher you go down from super fast, it's going to be better quality, but at the expense of your CPU. So the more, if you go to select faster, fast, all that stuff, it's going to look better, but it's also going to chew up more of your CPU. Last thing you need in the middle of a race is for all of a sudden your computer to be bogged down. So very fast generally gives you the best performance to quality ratio. So leave that at very fast is what I do. And that's pretty much it. So make sure you have your Twitch stream key input there and output here. Click OK. And that's your basic need. You can go ahead and click start streaming. Make sure when you're in your Twitch page here, on your dashboard, you edit the name of your broadcast and shit like that. I always have like a third. I have my fourth monitor up here so I can monitor y'all's chat and stuff like that. That's all your prerogative. If you don't want to interact with the audience, you don't have to. Some people don't even like that kind of stuff. I personally do because I enjoy chatting with you guys, but that's a personal opinion. Um, so make sure you have that. And yeah, that's the basic stuff you're going to need to stream your iRacing to Twitch. Now, this desktop audio down here is going to capture anything in the background. So you have TeamSpeak running, Facebook notifications in the background, whatever. It's going to capture all of that. Just keep that in mind. So that's basic Twitch 101 right there. I'm gonna go into, like I said, the four. Any questions y'all have, y'all can go ahead and type those in the chat, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I'll go into a little bit more advanced stuff that I went over a few minutes ago, just to recap. We'll start with a simple adding a webcam. So if you go in here and go to add video capture device, click that. You can name it webcam, and you go ahead from this drop down menu, select your webcam. You might have multiple set up. I don't know. I got a porn studio set up or something like that. This is the webcam I have here. This is a cheap one I had laying around. I think my daughter was using it for Skype because she Skypes with my stepson every once in a while so they can play Xbox together. But I stole it from her for informational purposes tonight. Anyways, so you want to change the resolution because this looks retarded right now. Sorry if that offended anybody. And you go click custom there and you choose a different resolution. Generally, 800 by 448. Won't use too much resources there, and that's a good 16:9 ratio. You can actually go into properties here and configure your video. You can, zoom out, zoom in as much as you want to. That kind of stuff. I always make sure some of them will have autofocus, and so as you're moving, it'll start focusing. I always turn that off. I just make sure it's focused the right way to begin with. So you can do that. Click OK. Resize that as necessary. Online, you can find a bunch. If you just go to Google and type in webcam overlays, you can buy some. There's a lot of them for free and stuff like that. I have a couple saved on my computer here. So if you go to add an image, we'll call this webcam overlay. I'll go find mine. I think it's on my D drive here. And my webcam overlay there, and so I can move that down over my camera here. We'll resize this as necessary to fit behind that overlay, and boom, there you go. You got your little webcam overlay. Now this is layered. Now down here, this is all layered. You can move this up and down, so make sure your overlay obviously isn't a higher layer than your webcam, or it's going to look stupid. Same thing. You want to make sure the iRacing captures at the bottom because it can go over that basic video photo editing stuff there. Oh yeah, you have access to my D drive there, Brian. Now, so there's a simple thing there. Now, as far as the standings and the ticker at the top that I used on my stream, we had just gone over this, but we'll go over it again. You'll want to go to the guys at simracingapps.com. Simracingapps.com. You'll click download server, whatever version they have at the time. Excuse me here. Where the hell is it? Click that. Yep. And then. Oh man, yeah, it's got timed out. Yeah, Google Sim Racing Apps. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, I have that stuff blocked so I don't get freaking spammed. Anyways, so you'll want to click on this right here, Sim Racing App Server, the 102 megabyte one. Download that. It'll download in the background. And once you download it, go to your downloads folder. I moved it to my own personal folder, so I moved it to my D drive. In a folder called SRA for Sim Racing Apps. And you'll just I'm running the 612 right now. So double click on that, and it'll give you this screen here. And pretty much what that is it's a server app running in the background. So you can just minimize that. And you're going to want to find out your IP address. If you don't know how to find out your local IP address, go to Start, your command prompt and type in ipconfig, and it'll give you an address. Generally, it's 192.168.1 dot whatever, 192.168.0 dot whatever. And so once you get your IP address, you'll type that in here in your web browser. Mine happens to be 192.168.1.171, and it's under port 80. So you type in :80, and boom, this is the server app that's running in the background. This is the web overlay for it, and it gives you all these options here. And there's all kinds of cool different things that they have going on. I clicked on like the dashes there. This is actually pretty cool stuff to use on like a second or fourth monitor, however many monitors you want, right? They have all kinds of cool stuff that you can add there. But for the overlay purposes, they have this neat one that's automatically built in. Oh yeah, also at the top of the SRE command window gives you that too. You look into view the README file. That helps all the time, right? So this is the streaming overlay itself. This is just a generic one. I know that Bryce Whitson uses this on his streams and stuff like that. This is the easiest way to do it. So you can copy that, and then you can go in here. I'll go ahead and hide my webcam here. You can go in here and add browser source, create a new one, and this one's going to be 1920 by 1080. And you're gonna, right where this was up here, you copy the address here in the address bar, 192.168.1.171, sim racing apps, app streaming overlay. Copy all that and paste that into the URL link here. Click OK, and boom, it loads all that up. It might take it a second to load up. Now, as you can see, I have running in the background, my overlay here. It doesn't run that great on mine here. It's a lot of information for it to process. So I actually do individual ones. That's the generic way to do it. But I personally use a little a la carte action here. So what I'll do is I'll go back over to sim racing apps, and I wanted to add solely the ticker there at the top and the little relative thing in the bottom. So what I did is I found the ticker for the top, which was right. Where's that son bitch? Right here. Click on that guy. That's what you want to see in your background. So you copy the URL for that. We're going to add another browser source. We'll name it ticker. I personally use 1,000 by 200 for my height and width there, and I only run about 10 frames a second. The more frames a second you have, the more CPU it's going to use. So make sure we paste the URL there, and once you paste that, you've got your ticker for the top. Now, as you can see, there's a little bit of gray background there. You can edit that out with CSS, but I found the easier way to do it is just to add a color key. So you can move that wherever you want to. I always keep it at the top here. If you go to right click it and filters, I'm going to add with the little plus button here. I'm going to add color key. Click OK. The key color type is going to be custom color. It's pretty much a green screen effect, right? So we'll go in here, and as you can see, it's set up for green screen effect, but you can do the custom color. So we're going to filter out this color gray right here. So you pick screen color, go over here to where the gray is, click that, click OK. And now it's got a clear background. So when you go into the race, it automatically updates, the standings and whatnot. Another one that I use is the relative box. It gives you a lot of information about the session and everything. And I believe that is right here. Lap timing. That's the one that I use. Same thing. You right click that, copy it, come in here and do the same thing. I should leave that at 800 by 600. You add a browser source. Name that, lap timing. And we paste that there. You can also change that to about 10 frames a second. And Same thing, you want to filter out the gray, so you right click, filters, add color key, custom color, select color, pick color, gray, okay, close. Bam. Sometimes it's a little hard to see. You'll have to mess around with the CSS settings. And that's a little bit more in depth than I want to get into. But with the sim racing apps documentation, they have a wiki page, all that stuff. It goes into extreme detail on how to do all that stuff. This is going to have to be something that you do trial and error on. That's what I've had to do with it. So say add that there. So I usually just have these two running. I'll leave that in the corner. I'll go ahead and take this information screen off down at the bottom so you can actually see this while you race. I click practice. We're inside the car right now, right? So during the race you can actually see that. And that's pretty much it right there for adding certain things like that. We can go ahead and add the webcam back. So bam, look, you got yourself a pretty nice little setup there, and you can go ahead and click start streaming. Boom, you're on Twitch, and you got a little bit of information for your streamers and all that. Another cool thing that Sim Racing Apps does for you, as Brian has just pointed out, he's been a beta tester. It does a pit countdown for you with the voice of Mr. Yaz himself, counting you down into your pit stall. Sim Racing Apps is amazing. It's not only good for streaming and overlays, it's good for just making you a better racer. It gives you pretty much any information that the sim gives you. You can display it on. You can get yourself an extra monitor and plug it in. Get you a tablet and just run that in the back. Run the app thing in the background and point your browser to that IP address, and that screen will come up on your tablet. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm mad I didn't discover it before. I'm glad that Bryce pointed me in the direction of the app. It's a pretty amazing app. I love it. But that's streaming in a nutshell. Another thing I got into, yeah, the like I said, the countdown thing really helps. I'll actually go ahead and show you the guys that. I don't know if you can. Yeah, you can hear my audio here, but if you come around. We'll go ahead and listen to that. I know for those of you that haven't watched my stream before and haven't heard it, it caught me by surprise the first time. But if you come and pull into the pits here, don't judge my driving. And make sure you hit your freaking marks there. It's going to take me a minute to get down pit road here. It's a long freaking pit road.
Start looking for your sign.
That's his voice right there. Ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop on the sign.
There you go. Pretty neat little situation they got going on there. So, and that was Mr. Yaz's voice himself right there. So, glad to have him in here helping me out. Tell you guys about sim racing apps. So, their sim racing apps and their overlays and what that can do for you. Now, one more thing I'll go over is recording. Now, you can stream and record at the same time. You're going to have to have a pretty beefy computer to do this. But it can be done. The voice of PRL, yes. It can be done. Like I said, but I have a 6700K and it sometimes stresses my system out. So, but for those of you that are lucky enough to have newer video cards, some of the video cards that come out in the last couple of years, I've got the 980 Ti, but even my old R9 290X could handle it. I haven't got audio too much, but if you have any questions, I can try to answer what I can there, Brian. So for recording, if you go to the recording tab, make sure you're under advanced mode over here. If you have a newer video card, you'll see either NVENC and I think ATI cards have a VCE engine instead of oh, that's awesome, Mike. Have fun. So you can click on NVENC or VCE if you have an AMD card, and that actually uses your video card. They have a built-in encoder chip or whatever on your video card, and that'll use your video card to do the recording, and your CPU will be doing the streaming. So that helps out where you can record at a higher quality if you want to upload your shit to YouTube. whatever you want to do with a higher quality video, because Twitch, you're limited by, you know, the bit rate that you can send them. All right, yeah, I'll get into that in a second there, Brian. So yeah, you can click on that, and what I use for the settings for the NVENC, which I think the settings for VC is similar. The CBR 2500 isn't going to do you any good. You have to record a much higher bit rate when you're using the built-in encoder on your video card. So what I do, instead of going for a bit rate, I go for quality. So under rate control, I click on CQP, which is a constant quality protocol, I think is what it stands for. You can mess around with this number here. The lower you go, the higher quality you're going to have. I know it's a little complicated to grasp, but yeah, lower number, the higher quality, higher number, lower quality. So you can mess around with that and see how it you can get your performance to quality ratio. I think 23 works just fine for me. So you can click apply on that, and you know, you can stream, but then you can also record in the background. Like, let's see here. I'll click here, click start recording, and I can go in here. And you know, I can run a lap. Well, I won't even run a lap. I'll just run through the pits and come to a stop. And pause that back. I'll go back over here and click stop recording. And I'll go into my videos folder where it's let's see. I'll go into my videos folder where it's defaulted to. And it's the latest one here, 6/13/2355. It's almost midnight. Click start recording. And I can go in here and you know, I can run a lap. Well, I won't even run a lap. I'll just run through the pits and come to a stop. As you can see, it didn't record my audio because my audio setup is a little bit. I've used a 2 PC streaming setup personally, but this is easier for those of you who don't have a spare freaking PC laying around. So it didn't pick up all my audio, and so that is a great segue into Brian's question here. And I'll make sure I have a beer for you too, real quick there, Mike. Have fun in Germany. Hell yeah. Anyways, so for audio. If you want, like, as you can see, the microphone here is deflecting a lot, but it's picking up background noise too, right? You see right here, when I'm not talking, there's still like some noise in the background right there. So the best way to get rid of that is to click on the settings, or the little gear thing here, go to filters, and you're going to add what's called a noise gate. You get on here, add noise gate, click OK. And the default settings generally work just fine. So you can, this is a closed threshold and open threshold. Once you get above this -26 setting here, it'll open where it captures all your audio. And when you stop talking, you get below this threshold here, it closes the gate for the microphone, if you will. So we're going to close that out. And as you can see, when I stopped talking, it didn't pick up any background noise whatsoever. And that's generic right there. Now what I'll do, I have a much more complicated setup. I actually use Adobe Audition running in the background because, as you can see over here, I have a aftermarket microphone. But like I said, all this is running on a separate PC. So basically, the breathing sounds. Now, if you're like me and you're out of shape and you're breathing heavy, watch. I actually have a higher quality microphone on this headset, but some of my older headsets, you know, where I had a cheap microphone on them, it would pick up. I'd be going through the corner and you'd hear me go, and it sucked, right? So, yeah, it keeps the breathing sounds out of it. But I mean, if you're really active on the wheel, like I am sometimes, it actually doesn't pick it up. This is a pretty cool fucking microphone here. That's perfect settings for mine. That pretty much takes all your background noise out of it, so they don't have to hear everything. They don't have to hear your wife yelling at you in the fucking other room telling you to get the fuck off the computer, unless you yells loud like mine, then you can hear. So there's that. And that's a basic thing there. There's a whole bunch more complicated things that you can do. I've got a program called Virtual Audio Cable. Actually, I don't even use that on here. What I do to separate out my some of my sounds. Okay, so I have a USB headset. And in-race chatter is a little bit different too. Now, I'll get into that. So what I do, and this only works if you have a USB headset. Now, if you have a headset that plugs directly into your sound card, this isn't going to work. Now, what I do is, as you
William drinking coffee.
we'll go ahead and if you go under sound here, as you can see, I have a USB headset, but I have the device set to my high definition onboard audio, the Realtek high definition onboard audio, right? Now, what that does is, if you go down here to playback devices or recording devices, so you right click on the speaker icon, go to recording devices. This will come up here. You want to make sure you right click and click show disconnected devices, and we're going to enable the stereo mix. And what we do there is we listen to the stereo mix through our USB headset. So what that does is it takes the audio from your onboard card and shoots it back through your headphones. And so, what you're listening to technically is coming from onboard audio. So that shoots off to my stream, but I can also hear it in my headphones. And the way that comes in handy is if you go into my TeamSpeak here, and if you go under the settings options for here, my playback is selected to, right now it's selected to my high definition audio. But if I go down here to select my headset, you click that, you will not be able to hear my TeamSpeak because it's not going through my onboard audio. It's going through directly through my headset. So it's not, repeating back through from my onboard audio. So that pretty much filters out, any of that chatter. And you can do the same thing for in-race chatter. If you want to have them not hear it, the voice chat, if I clicked my my headset right here, you would not be able to hear in-race chatter. It gets a little bit complicated, and I run a bunch of other filters, and it's a little bit more in depth. I also run a program called. I looked at a tutorial, and I'll show you all the link here. This is what I use for my personal stream. Let's see if I can find it. Under OBS project, go under forums, resources, guides, and let's see if I can find that. Actually, I googled it. Go to Google and type in OBS Adobe Audition. And it's the first one, microphone cleanup with Adobe Audition. Now, this actually requires you to have Adobe Audition. I actually have a subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud, so I use this stuff. When you follow this right here, it'll set you up with a virtual audio cable, and it uses Adobe Audition in real time to clean up background noise and makes you sound more like you're a radio host or whatever. And I know I have a lot of issues with my audio sometimes. I'm always messing with it, I know, but this is what I use now, and that's how my audio might sound a little bit better than what you would hear through just a regular headset microphone. So it gets a little more complicated than that. But like I said, if you happen to have Adobe Audition and you go to Google, type in OBS Adobe Audition, and you click on the first link, it'll set you up with this. Just follow the instructions, and it'll make your microphone sound a hell of a lot better, honestly. So there's that. Anybody got any more questions? Brian, you've been coming up with some hella questions right here. Let's see other things you can do. You can set up hotkeys for start streaming, stop streaming, start recording, all that stuff. So that way, when you're in the game, you want to start streaming at a certain point. You can hit your hotkey. I used to use Control F1, Control F2. Same thing for recording. That way, if you only want to record a certain race, but you want to stream all night, you start recording at a certain time on that race, and stop recording after that race, and just the in between time, you're not wasting that hard drive space. There's that. I'm trying to think of some more advanced things that I use. You could try 60 frames a second. I can tell you right now that obviously uses up twice as many fucking resources. So you have to have a pretty beefy computer for that. Like I said, I do other things, like I'll add a staging scene. So Oh, so that might be your problem right there. You got to make sure it's selected to the right device there, Brian. So make sure your simulation device and your voice chat device are the same thing. Or if in OBS, I think you can actually you can if it doesn't work that way, you can add a audio input capture, and then select the device that you want to capture, so it'll capture both of them. Do you use OBS Studio or do you use OBS Classic? Now you see it's actually capturing my microphone twice here. I can go ahead and delete that one, but that's another way. If you have a different device that you use for microphone, then as your default device, you can just add an audio input capture and it'll capture it that way. And you can still add your same filters and whatnot for that. I don't know about your why you would be cutting out. Only other thing I could think of is to change the. I used to have the same problem, and I would change the server that I use because sometimes it just my connection didn't like going to that specific server. I used to have to do like, well, that's another thing. I would, like I said, at the start of this tutorial, I was showing everybody you need to go to on. Oh shit! I clicked close on obsproject.com. They don't support OBS Classic anymore. So this Windows 7, 8, 10 one here, they don't support that one anymore. So what you need to do and is go to Download Studio and click OBS plus browser source. The only problem that they have with that is most of the tutorials online are solely for OBS Classic because it's been around for years, and Studio just became a thing a few months ago. It's been in beta for the longest time, but now it's the only one that they actually support, and actually runs it runs a lot better for me. I can do a lot more with it. And as time has gone on, there's still a couple functions that were in the original OBS that are not in OBS Classic now or in OBS Studio now, but they're catching up with what you can do. And honestly, it's for me, it's light years better. I think this session's about to end here. There's only 2 more minutes left in the session. We'll go ahead and close this out. Yeah, do that, Brian. That's why I did this tutorial. Was to get people into OBS Studio because a lot of the problems that I had, people ask me, how do you do this? How do you do this? I'm like, well, what version of OBS are you using? Oh, Studio. You need to use Studio, not Classic. Because if you're using Classic, not really supported anymore by the guys who make OBS. Anybody got any other questions? Like I said, I'm all ears here for a little bit. I'm gonna sit here and drink a couple beers. So, anybody got any other questions? I'm open forum right now. Oh, I'm definitely putting this on YouTube. This is recording in the background right now. Um, I'm thinking about making a dual streaming PC tutorial. That one's going to be a little bit more in depth. It's going to be a lot harder for me to make because right now I'm just using a video capture card to capture all the shit, and it's fairly fucking simple. That I might have to set up a little bit differently. Now dual streaming PC or dual PC streaming. Damn, I can't get it right. Um, can be a lot better if you manage it right, and you have to have a good quality video capture device. But like I have, my gaming rig here, and I want this to run as fast as it fucking can, right? So I don't want OBS in the background slowing it down by any means. So I have a computer that has a AMD FX 8350 in it, which AMD processors, while they may be junk for gaming, are pretty baller when it comes to video encoding. So I use that one, and I run it. I run an HDMI cable from my middle monitor. I split it out. One goes to my monitor, or from my video card. The HDMI out, it splits, goes to my middle monitor into my capture card, and then my capture card is captured over there. Fuck off, Brian. But yeah, so there's that. So yeah, like I said, I might in the future do a dual PC streaming setup. Not very many people do that, as far as I know. A lot of the top streamers use their use single PC setups. But Nike Star, thanks for the follow, homie. Cheers, buddy. Anybody else? Anybody else got any questions at all? Bueller. Well, like I said, I was planning on racing tonight. Brian was in there with me. We were going to be racing at Iowa for the PRL Grand National Series. I hadn't raced in 2 freaking weeks really, so I was really looking forward to it. And iRacing decided to be a bunch of asshats tonight and had their shit go down. Actually, you know what? I can get into the betting and stuff like that if you want to. I'm wide awake and I got plenty of beer left. So y'all want to do that? That's something I would like to. I think I will ask you. I can definitely get into that. It's a little bit more complicated. I'm gonna have to do some thinking myself because it's all automatic for me now. But I can get into it if you want to. Fuck it, let's do it. Right. All right. So that was you saw. I just got the follow there by Nike. I think it was. I can't fucking remember now. I got bad short term memory. So we'll go into that. How you get like the Twitch followers that pop up and everything like that. Go ahead and close some of these browsers here. So those are actually, there's a lot of tutorials on how to do that online, but I'll go ahead and get into it now while we're at it. I use a site called twitchalerts.com. When you go in there, you'll connect it with your Twitch account. And, I've got one following the last week. Yeah, gonna be $0 in donations because, nobody likes me. It'll give you like a little overview of, what's happened, all the donations that I got here, all the followers that I got, all that shit. Now what I use is the alert box. And you can go in here, you go to your alert settings, change your background settings, all that stuff. And now follower alerts. Now this is, you can see there's my little Stone Cold GIF right there. I just found that on, I think it was on Giphy. So I pasted that there. And pretty much what it does is it has this little container right here, the brackets name, and that gives you the that pretty much gives them the name of the user that is followed. You can change it to fade in, fade out. You can, I think it swipes in, zooms in, all that shit, bounces in. You can test all that out, and then you click Save Settings. You can click the launch right here, and when you click Test the Follow Alert, that's just something that you can tinker around with, and once you get it to the way that you like it, you click, you copy this address right here, and pretty much just paste it as a browser source. Same thing. You go to Add Browser Source. I call it like Follow Alert or DF Alert for Donation Follow Alert. And then you paste that URL into here. Look at that. Brian gave us $10 there. Thanks for the $10, Brian. That's fucking awesome, man. Cheers to you. That wasn't something that actually wasn't staged. That's awesome. Thanks, Brian. Cheers. But yeah, you paste that in your browser source, and it'll show up blank for now. But you can go back into your Twitch alert settings here. Get back into your Twitch alert settings here, and you can click Test Follower Alert. And as you can see, I know it's showing up over my stuff right now, but it shows up on here too wherever you paste it. Oh shit! Same thing with donations. Like y'all saw, I just got a donation there from Brian. So donation alert, same thing. I got the picture of Kenny fucking Powers here, and they have another container name donated X amount. You can actually have it to where you can actually have them read the whatever they type out. You can do text to speech, all that stuff. You can enable it, disable it. A lot of people will go in there and they'll troll the shit out of you and make like a 4,000 character long thing. Um, you can turn the spam security on and off. So if they like fucking go in there and they type in like 4 billion @ and it goes sounds like a machine gun, yeah, you can turn that shit off. I really don't have that problem right now because I don't get that many donations, but if it ever does get to the amount where I'm making, donations left and right and people are just trying to spam my shit when I'm trying to race, I'm about to turn my spam on, or spam security on. You'll notice a lot of the cam girls who stream don't turn theirs off because they'd rather get dollar donations here and there and have people spam them, but in the end they still make a couple $100 a stream. But I'm not a whore like that. So yeah, you can turn on a minimum amount to read. I should turn that to $1. So if you want to have your message read on screen, you have to donate at least $1. There you go. You click save settings there, and same thing. And then you select the sound. I found all this shit on Google. I found a sound clip of him saying dollar bills. I think I saved it from a fucking YouTube video. But yeah. Well, I'm also a grammar Nazi there, Brian, and you spelled your wrong. Anyways, so yeah, you can do all that. You'll just have to freaking go in here and you launch that browser right here, and you'll have to go in there and test the alerts. As you go along, get it the way you like it, and you can click the test donation alert again.
Dollar bills, y'all.
You can see it comes up on the screen and whatnot.
Test donation for $31.
You can see how that works. So it's pretty much all that in a nutshell. So those are the alerts that I use. Let's see what else. Betting. I'll have to go find that one. I gotta take my donation back now. Oh me. Oh, all sales final. All sales final. Let's see. I think the way it's under Q2 apps, but if you go to the iRacing forum and go under iRacing APIs, and I believe it's under iRacing browser apps. If you click iRacing browser apps and you go to the it's not down right now, I don't believe. It was down earlier. And then I've gotten to where I'm doing this tutorial right now. I'm not gonna race tonight. We'll be racing tomorrow night though, but not tonight. But yeah, iRacing, I believe it is up right now. You can see right there. Anyways, if you go in the iRacing forums, go under iRacing APIs and development discussions and click on, where is it again? I already lost it again. iRacing browser apps. It'll give you ir-apps.q2.ru. So you go to his freaking site there, and you can download the 32 or 64-bit version. Boom, download that sumbitch right there. And I extracted it to I probably should purchase my WinRAR, but I extracted it to a folder called server. So if you go under my C drive, server, you can see I've got BetBot running here and server running here. I don't really use the server anymore now that I have sim racing apps. So you can just load up BetBot in the background. And the first time you load it up, it's not going to do anything. But then it'll create a JSON file. And pretty much open that guy up. Not a JSON file, a config file. So you get a betbot.ini here. And what it does is, I don't really want to show it to you because, actually, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I just won't save it. Actually, let me delete this real quick, and we're good to go. All right. So, well, this gives you a configuration page here for your BetBot. And you go in there and do some generic stuff. It'll say default, your Twitch channel will be Steel Horse Racing TV for me. The currency are your buds, currency of your virtual money, I name them buds. You can make it to where you only get to bet in official races. Since I do a lot of league racing, I keep that at 0. So you can do official and unofficial races, which is like league races and shit like that. They have this option to slow rich users so they can't make too much fucking money. What the hell is this that popped up? And then yeah, they have all these other little things you can. I just like these at default settings, but you can change all these other little settings. For me, I have everyone starting with 1,000 buds, and if you bet everything and lose it, you start back over with 100. Port server, I think default is 8183. I might be wrong, but I have mine at 8183. And then the other thing, like in my Twitch chat, you'll notice when I start my races, it says bets are now open, bets are closed, whatnot. What you're going to want to do is follow the instructions here. Go to this website, and it'll give you a oath token, and you'll copy that and you'll paste it back down here, and you'll type in your Twitch handle, and then you'll paste that oath token down here, and you'll save your changes. I deleted mine so y'all couldn't see mine. I didn't want y'all hacking my shit. But pretty much you do that, and BetBot will run in the background. And then they have there's a tutorial here somewhere. Actually, if you once you run the server in the background, if you get back to the IR apps thing over here, what it'll do is that pretty much gives you it walks you through everything. So like under Twitch BetBot here, you click on that, and it'll tell you what you need to do, and that'll run you through everything I just told you. You run the BetBot, and then so make sure you've got the what you call it. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. So you'll run the first time you run BetBot, it'll open and close, and it'll give you this JSON file in the betbot.ini. You go in there and edit your betbot.ini, following the instructions that are here and in the BetBot thing itself. Now that it's running in the background, you can go and add a browser source. So you're going to create a browser source and copy this link that it gives you, the irapps.kutu/bets or whatever. So copy that, and it says you need to be 210 by 236, right? So we'll add a browser source. We'll call it BetBot. And that is for the that's for the bets open. So this one isn't actually going to show up. This is for bets, right? So 210 by 236. And then we're going to paste that URL here. And that'll show up anywhere. This won't show up until you actually have bets open. Now, the other one is the leaderboard. The same thing. You'll copy this irapps.kutu.ru/betbot stats. Copy that address and do the same thing. So we'll add a browser source. We'll call it bet stats. And we'll paste the same URL. 210 by 236. Click OK. And as you can see, there's my bet leaderboard. This is what my bet leaderboard is right now. You can adjust it as necessary. Move it into the corner. You know, this is your canvas, so you can do whatever you want with it. I personally have it in a separate freaking scene, as you can see right here. I have it mine in a separate scene, but you can do whatever you want to with it. So there's your bet leaderboard. So yeah, there's those things. Any other questions, Brian? You've been that one kid in the class that is helping out the teacher and making him not look like a dumbass. Yeah, the server apps have a whole bunch of other things that you can use. If you just go to the irapps.kutu.ru, I'll go ahead and post that down here. And I'll when I upload this to YouTube, I'll make sure I put a link down there in the description. They have a whole bunch of other things. Now, if you have to make sure before you start up iRacing or whatever that the server app and the BetBot app are running. Pretty much what I do is I copy them, and you have to move them to your startup folder, which in Windows 10, I honestly don't know where that is. What I technically do is on my desktop, I have these shortcuts here, so when my computer loads up, excuse me, I just make sure I double click on these guys and they're running in the background. And same thing with my freaking sim racing apps, which is over here. And just create a shortcut here. I'll just make sure I load those up. What's going on, DE15? What's up, buddy? You can also move those to your startup folder. Make sure they start up with Windows. That's fairly simple to do. Just go to. I don't know how to do it in Windows 10. I did it in Windows 7 all the time. Honestly, I just haven't looked into doing it with Windows 10. But make sure those are up and running. And like I said, with that server app, there's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. You can get gear and speed, pedals and G-force, and you pretty much go through here, and it tells you step by step how to add it in OBS. Now, when this says clear browser, you got to realize we're using OBS Studio. So, instead of clear browser, it's browser source, but same principle applies. It's the exact same damn thing. So you can add the pedals that you're using, G-forces, the gear and the speed that you're using. The gear and speed is only in kilometers per hour, I think, because commies. Same thing with the stream overlay. This is a little bit more complicated. I don't even use this anymore, solely because I'm using sim racing apps. But that's what will give you that whole. When I used to have the standings up there, and my relative, and the number of viewers and shit on my stream, and stuff like that. But then it gives you detailed instructions on how to do it. You set up your CSS and all that. Twitch chat. And that's one thing I know that you were looking for, Brian. Actually, I don't even use Q2 apps for that. I use what's called Night Dev. So if you go to nightdev.com, you go to projects, and I use CapChat. And same thing, step by step. Install for OBS. It's going to tell you to download OBS, blah, blah, blah. You've already got it downloaded. So you type in your freaking channel name. You can do all this stupid little stuff here. You can fade out your lines. You can show the bots, event clipping, any chat theme that you want. You can test them out. You click next, and it gives you a URL. Copy that, and 600 by 300 is what it tells you to do. So you go into OBS itself, add another browser source, all that chat. And so 600 by 300. The sim racing apps has that gear pedals module too. You click paste, and there you go. It's your Twitch chat is right there. And like I said, you can, when you go back in here, do Night Dev, you can go back and you can change what chat theme you want. So if you want it to be like darker, you can do that, and copy the URL, and you can go back into your chat and change the URL so it looks different. So you can see there's like a little shade over it right there and whatnot. That's pretty much how you add the chat there. Any other questions? I got half a beer left here. Your dude's having shit luck. Well, I feel you. Denny's having shit luck too there, D. Freaking crew chief screwing him. A speed one? What do you mean a speed one? Oh, me. So there's all these little things you can add, and like I said, I try not to get too carried away with what I add to my screen. That's why I have multiple scenes here. Like I have a staging scene that I use. I'll show you how I do that. It's fairly simple. I have a video that I made in iRacing, and I added it here. So I added a media source. It's a local file. If you go to, you add any video you want. Let's see. You can see this is the video that I have for I think this is the one that I used for fucking PRL. Well, that one looks like shit. It's not the right one. I don't remember which one it was. Let's see. You can add that. Oh, okay. I know what I'm talking about. I think there is one in sim racing apps. There is a speed one. I'm fairly certain. Car selector, driver's gear, lap timing, messages, pedal, relative, shift lights, standings. I don't even know if there is a speed one. It's not. Yeah, it's not. I don't think there is a speed one. Like solely just for speed. There is them for shift lights and all that shit. Lap timing, gear you're in, but I don't think there's one for speed. Oh, right here. The car controls will give you the speed at the bottom there. But yeah, so like I added that. You want to make sure you loop it so it loops in the background. And then I added like a an overlay. I know I sent that to somebody, but I had like my staging overlay here. And this is something that I found online. I believe I found a YouTube video. I can't remember exactly where it was. You can go back in there and add your webcam. Now the thing you got to remember is once you add a source, it's in there in every fucking it's in there in every scene. So the sources that were in my iRacing scene are available at all times. So I can go back and add my existing webcam, put that here, and we can put that over the little thing here, and I can move it down. And I'll have to adjust as necessary. If you want to crop something, you can freaking hold Alt when it's selected and just crop it down. It doesn't look completely retarded. Do a little shit like that. Little crap like that. Just add to the presentation. I made an intro video, which I made in After Effects that I use for when the stream comes online. Shit like that. The sky's the limit. And I hate to say that I plagiarized, but a lot of my ideas came from watching other people's streams, and I made them my own. I didn't straight up copy what people had, but I tried to make it my own. Add my own appeal to it. Like my intro, I had that little statement about don't, if you're offended, don't be in the stream. Shit like that, and have a cool little flashy intro video, and that's all up to you. Production value is what you make of it. It can get a little complicated. I know I get my freaking words twisted all the time, or I fuck up my entrance and I look like a complete dumbass. That's just all up to you and your creativity. Sky's the limit for you, pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much how I do my stuff in a nutshell. It's all it's that's it, man. That's pretty much all I do. And it's just going to take you a lot of research and development, pretty much. I know I spent countless hours trying to figure out ways to make the stream more interactive and make sure it isn't too cluttered and make sure you guys have fun with it. And I know we haven't had as many people as we normally have in the stream tonight, but it's I have a feeling this will get a lot more views on YouTube because this is kind of this isn't gaming per se, but it should help any of you guys that actually want to get out there and stream. Now, big disclaimer before I end this stream, your mileage will vary. If you have an older processor, you're going to have to turn some settings down, or you might not be able to do it at all, or you might have to do what I do and get a second PC and stream. And really, like I said, it was a little bit complicated and it can get complicated, but the biggest difference is instead of using game capture, you're going to add a video capture device, and you're going to add your game capture card. That's pretty much it. And you can get a Elgato or a AverMedia. I think Razer makes one now, which is pretty fucking baller. But you're going to have a pretty decent PC to stream from too. So like I said, if you have an older PC, anything older than pretty much a 4790K or 4690K, you're going to have a fairly tough time getting a decent quality stream and being able to run the game fine. So there's that. Well, yeah. Well, at least Junior has finishes there, Brian. I'd much rather qualify in the back than be up front because Junior has no problem getting to the front for the most part. Denny has made the fucking top 12 every race this year, and you see where he finishes. So, his crew chief, is good at setting him up for, starting the race, but as the race goes on, Mike Wheeler, Wheeler is just not. I don't like him. Other than Daytona, which is 99% Denny because Denny has proven to be one hell of a restrictor plate racer. I don't like him. Anyways, so that's probably going to end the stream for tonight, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for all the questions. I'm going to upload this to YouTube, so if you haven't given us a subscribe there on YouTube, make sure you do that. This will be uploaded to YouTube, and I will answer any questions from this on my YouTube video, which should be up either by the end of tonight or sometime tomorrow. So if there are no other questions, I'm going to end the stream here. Yeah, Brian, that's right. I was pissed. Don't get me started on that shit. But anyways, I'm Linda here. Like I said, make sure you go subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're watching this video on YouTube later, make sure you click subscribe. And any other videos you recommend I do, just let me know. Thanks, Brian, for the $10 donation, and thanks everybody for sticking it out. We'll see y'all tomorrow night for PRL at Michigan International Speedway, I believe. Y'all have a good night.